Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching this. Welcome back to Wager Talk TV. This is First Pitch, a 7-day-a-week baseball betting show. My name is Andrew McGinnis, joined by Teddy Covers, Dave Koken, Brian Leonard. Before I toss it over to the guys and see how they're doing, it is $2 Tuesday at both wagertalk.com and sportsmemo.com. I am the featured handicapper this week at Wager Talk, and we have Buster Sports over at Sports Memo. So regular plays today are $25. You can get both Buster and my play for just $2. Dave, I'm going to throw it to you. You're someone I know that does not release too many 5% plays. I've never really seen you over the past several months release one. 69%, all 5% plays last 12 months, and you have one up for tonight in the NHL.
Yeah, I almost never put them up, so I have to really like a game to go the top-level route. But I did go that way with a hockey game today, so that's available. I've got two baseball plays, one of which is a free play, available right now at Wager Talk, and I'll have a small play in the KBO for Wednesday morning as well if they get the game in. It just rains like crazy down there, so let's play the games. Let's see what happens. I mean, I don't hype this stuff. I'm just not particularly into that. If you want to get the play, get it. If you don't. But I think it's got a good chance to win.
Teddy Covers on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. I've heard you use the expression before. The clients are happy. Things are going good. Well, they must be happy right now. Teddy, 9-2, 82% all sports last 5 days, and a 6-1 NBA run. Congrats on the run, Teddy. And what can we grab from you today at wagertalk.com?
Yeah, it's been a good. It's been good the last few days. Last night wasn't, unfortunately, one of the best of the bunch, but it's nice to have a little, it's been such a long time. It's like, yeah, I'm running good. Feels good. No doubt about it. I have one play up and available, and it's going off shortly in the NBA for today. So if you want it, get it right now. As you mentioned, the NBA has been running pretty darn good in recent weeks. So chance to get on board right now. It does tip off early.
And Brian Leonard, you're coming off a plus 166 underdog winner with the Mariners yesterday. Congratulations on that. Always nice to cash an underdog ticket. And I believe you have 3 plays up for just $29 at wagertalk.com. What can we grab from you in other sports? Anything else you have action with, or just the baseball for today?
Yeah, I'd like to play some hockey today, but I really like the Knights. They just Lerner's, and they locked in Lerner at goalie, and it's a little bit cheaper, under $2 right now. I think that line's going to go up a little bit. As much as people in Vegas love Fleury, Lerner's the better goalie. And
at this point, yeah.
Yeah, and Chicago's a team that shouldn't even have been in the playoffs, but it's very similar to baseball. And in baseball, your team wins 100 games, teams lose 100 games. But that's not different than basketball and football, where you've got elite teams and all. Hockey is one of those games that just the puck bounces a little bit differently. I've been to games where teams have outshot the opposition by huge amounts and lost the game. So I hate to lay big favorites in hockey, so I'll lay off today's card.
Quick note, by the way, Lawrence Pressman, it's not a 15-1 run with his top baseball plays, and he's got one up today. And Andrew, you have a 5% play for, I believe, for tomorrow in the NHL. Is that correct?
It's for tomorrow. Yeah, it's just for $2. You can grab that at wagertalk.com. But it's very important to me to come on here and we talk about our plays and we talk about running good and we can smile about it and things like that. But I had a bad day yesterday. July was a great month for me, and I'm very happy about that. But I'm always more than willing to come on here and say, when I had a bad day. I lost my top play in the NBA. I lost my top play in the MLB. And just wanted to come on here and kind of be transparent with that to make sure the viewers know that I'm not just coming on here and talking about the winners. As far as the MLB does go, last 20 games for me, last 20 selections, hitting 73%, 14-5-1 run for me. So MLB is going good. And as far as the NHL goes, 10-2, 5% run. So like Dave says, he doesn't do too many 5% plays. But when I release them, it's one I usually like quite a bit, just like most people probably with their 5%. You'd hope so anyway. We're going to get things going here. Enough of the sales stuff and advertising, but it is $2 Tuesday. We're going to start here with the Cubs and the Indians. And it's funny because yesterday on the show, I mentioned I want people to comment in on the comment section and let us know a game they want us to talk about. Dave, turned out this is one that was very popular in the comment section. Also one that you chose for us to speak about.
Well,
I'll start with you here, Mr. Koken. Cubs and Indians.
Part of the reason I chose this game was the matchup. I do the layout for the featured games each day for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I do it on Sunday. And the probables for this game were going to be Lester and Clevenger. So it's like, wow, that's a really good matchup between two interesting teams. That's got to be one of the featured games. Well, obviously, things change. And it'll be Adam Plutko pitching for the Indians because Clevenger is, I'll call it, the right word, they're not using this word, but he's basically suspended for 4 days, okay? Because he decided that he and one of the other pitchers, they decided that the protocol wasn't for them, and they wanted to go out and have some fun with friends. And, well, it's 2020. You're going to get photographed, okay? If you're anybody who's reasonably well-known, somebody's going to take a picture. And somebody took a picture, and they got caught. And so Clevenger is basically suspended for a few days. So that means Plutko, and that is, there's a substantial difference in the quality of the two pitchers. Lester has looked pretty sharp for the Cubs. The one thing, though, that does bother me a bit, because you can say, well, the Cubs have an advantage here. They weren't a very good road team last year, and I think the same thing might happen this year. Despite the fact no one's at Wrigley, it's still someplace where they feel comfortable. They love the elements there. I think this is a pretty tough game now. It's one that I probably would have been siding with Clevenger. In fact, I can almost guarantee you I would have been siding with Clevenger and the Indians in this game at probably, maybe $1.30, somewhere in that range. At this price, basically pick them. I really don't know what to do with it because Plutko is a substantial downgrade from Clevenger, and it also means the Indians will probably have to go more with their pen. Their pen's been excellent, but it still means more innings and more chances for the opposition to do something. I don't want the Cubs pen at all. So if you're looking at this game, I would look at it in two ways. If you like the Indians, play it full game. If you like the Cubs, play it first five. I'm going to pass on either one.
Yeah, Teddy, like Dave said, close to a pick-em price here. We saw a downgrade, obviously, on the mound here. What are you thinking here as far as this price goes and as far as the downgrade goes? Is it a bet-on spot here for the Cubs?
So the Cubs haven't played, since what, last Thursday? And we've seen now a few of these situations where the team has an unscheduled vacation and then gets back on the playing field. And I think it's a little bit too soon to say okay, this is the trend for teams that have been sitting when they weren't supposed to sit. But I'm not necessarily looking to play these games over the total. And the Cubs bats weren't hot before they went on hiatus, a brief hiatus. The Indians have been the number one under team in all of baseball so far this season. Their bullpen's been every bit as dominant as the starting pitching. And when the starting pitching is giving you 6 or 7 innings, it keeps the bullpen fresh. And in Cleveland, no team has had better pitching than the Indians this year. Their lineup has started to hit a little bit, which gives me some concern on the over. We've seen a fair bit of over money in this ball game. But on the other hand, John Lester, who, let's be honest, at times last year it looked like Lester was washed up. He's been pretty darn good in his first couple of starts. So my lean here would definitely be towards the under, backing the number one under team in baseball in a game where the total's been bet up a little bit.
Brian, it's tough to argue against that. I mean, under seems to be the look here in this game. Side or total, do you have a lean in this contest?
From a pitching standpoint, Plutko's the only starter for the Tribe that I don't trust. He's the only guy that just hasn't gotten better with coaching from Cleveland. You've got these guys. Bieber came in; he was a 4th round draft choice, but they've got guys coming up from the minors that have really done better based on the coaching staff here in Cleveland, and Plutko really hasn't, and that's a concern for me. In fact, I rate Lester one tier higher, which there's not too many times I do that in baseball anymore. But I looked at none of the lineups have been announced as of yet this early in the morning. If you go by the normal lineup, WRC plus, I've got the Cubs at $9.99, the Indians at $10.15. So the Indians are slightly better than the Cubs from a hitting standpoint. Really not much there. But being a former Clevelander, and I'm not big on revenge in baseball, this is the World Series loss. They lost to the Cubs. There's not going to be any fans there, obviously, which is going to hurt a revenge situation. But the line's where it should be. It's not on my card today. I'm passing.
Indians, by the way, they're hitting 186 against lefties. And you can get into all the metrics you want. 186 stinks. So they're just not hitting lefties at all. And that's something to bear in mind here, especially with Lester at least looking sharp so far.
Yeah, I'll throw it right back to you, Brian. We're going to go in kind of the snake order here. I'll go back with you. I mentioned yesterday, and I'm going to keep talking about it. I wish I'd get a little comment from Johnny about this, but Johnny, with that big ticket he has on the Tigers to win the World Series, that was actually my loser yesterday on the MLB slate. I had the White Sox. I thought it was a pretty reasonable price. They couldn't get the bats going. We saw, and I'll say, a surprisingly good pitching performance out of that Tigers club yesterday. What are we thinking here in this bounce back spot for the White Sox?
Yeah, this is one of those games that I really think there's value on Detroit here. You've got a team in Detroit that you take a look from offensively. Who would have told you just a couple of weeks ago that you'd have a team in Detroit that their lineup is better hitting than the White Sox? This is so rare. The White Sox do not hit lefties well. You've got to play on them against righties, against them on lefties. Their WRC plus here is only 856, which is less than the 900 average. The White Sox lineup, they've only got, first baseman Abreu is their one really big bat against lefties. And then you got Detroit, especially if you're looking to play like who's going to score first, there's going to be value on Detroit here. You look at their first four guys in the lineups against righties. 124, 117, 147, 145. League average is 100 a player. So these are all four guys starting in the lineup for Detroit that are much better hitters than the White Sox, other than Abreu, which will probably play in the first inning there. From a pitching standpoint, you can't argue with Detroit's pitcher so far. He's been in the bullpen. He's been terrific. Take a look at his, Dave knows. It's just amazing how well he's done. Now, he has done well in the bullpen. He's going to be on a pitch count here. That's a concern. But the pitching edge, to me, I gave a two-tier advantage to the Tigers here. To me, the Tigers should be favored pretty substantially here, and they're not.
Well, Teddy, we talk about this shortened season. I've mentioned it numerous times. I believe it's worth mentioning as far as teams getting hot or cold. Talk about a team like the Marlins right now, a team that everyone loves to bet against. However, right now, their record would not reflect. It's been smart to bet against them. What are you thinking here with this Detroit Tigers team this evening?
Well, you have two teams trending in opposite directions. You don't even need to ask me what my opinion is on this game. All right, Tigers have won 4 in a row. All right, they're playing with confidence. They won the first game of this series. They won as a dog against Chicago yesterday. They have, and again, when we talk about this young hurler for Detroit, everyone's like, oh, Tyler Alexander was coming out of the bullpen. He started a bunch of games for them last year. The transition is going to be fairly easy for Alexander. Of course, he's coming off an appearance, a record-setting appearance at Cincinnati, where he came in and struck out 9 batters in 3 innings, finished up with 10 in 3.2. And on the other hand, it's a White Sox team that's lost, 5 of their last 6 now. They haven't scored. They reached 4 in one of those games, but the bats are ice cold in Chicago. They were ice cold before. They've been ice cold basically since the Brewers series a week and a half ago. And when we're talking about Gio Gonzalez in a pick'em range, yeah, it's Tigers or pass for this better.
I would agree with that. And looking at, first of all, Teddy, it's my job to ask you. I have to ask your opinion. But, looking at this spot, I think you look at that one error made in the outfield yesterday. That cost the White Sox a few runs. You look at the hits on the game, how many times the White Sox left guys in scoring position. This is as far as hits go, it was 9-8 for the Tigers. So, I personally don't think the score reflects how that game was played out. And I'm not making an excuse for my lost wager. I just think if you looked at that game throughout and maybe you didn't actually look at the scoreboard, you would think it was a more close and entertaining game than I think the score presents it was. But when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter. All that matters is the W's and the L's on the standings. I'll get your thoughts here, Dave, on this one. What do you think about the White Sox right now and how they're trending, and the Tigers and how they're trending?
Well, Let's talk about Tyler Alexander first, who is off that amazing performance where he struck out 9 in a row. Now he goes back to starting. He had 8 starts. He's had 8 starts. And he hasn't been very good as a starting pitcher. So he's done better as a reliever. Better, markedly better, by the way. And again, it's a small sample because the guy hasn't, he's pitched 9 games as a reliever and 8 as a starter in the majors. But the numbers as a starting pitcher weren't really good. And I think part of that is that when a guy's coming out of the bullpen, he just lets it all go for as long as he's going to be out there. Starting pitchers have a tendency to try and extend themselves. And that's kind of what Alexander's situation is here, because they are putting him in the rotation. So the intent is to start stretching him out. And I'll be interested to see how that impacts him. White Sox have not been clobbering lefties, although I still think they will at some point. I think this lineup, I don't know why it hasn't come together. Well, certainly Tim Anderson not being there has been a part of it. But it looks to me like a lineup that should do well against lefties. So I'm thinking that will correct itself. The other side is Gio Gonzalez, who, even when he was at his best, was always questionable as far as his control goes. And now he's beyond questionable. He's just walking a lot of guys. And that means high pitch count. It means he's out of there in 4 innings? I don't know. If Gonzalez, if they had 5 or 6 out of Gonzalez, it's Christmas at this point for the White Sox. And I don't think they will, the way the Tigers are swinging the bat. I mean, even Nico Goodrum, who basically can't hit a beach ball at times, he goes 4 for 4 last night. The Tigers are feeling it right now. I think you're going to get some runs in this game. I feel good about the Tigers' chances of doing some damage against Gio. And I think there's a potential for some bounce on Alexander's part coming off that extraordinary performance out of the pen. So I tend to think the over might be playable here.
You're watching First Pitch right here on Wager Talk TV, your home for sports betting content 7 days a week. A reminder, once again, this show is not just Monday through Friday. It is on both Saturday and Sunday as well at 12 o'clock Eastern time. We've got everyone right now riding a pretty good run here. Teddy 9-2 last 5 days. All Sports Dave has a rare 5% play up last 12 months, 69% with his 5%. Brian coming off a sweet underdog casher last night. We'll try and keep things rolling. Head into the next game. Also a reminder, it's $2 Tuesday at both Wager Talk and Sports Memo. Buster Sports rolling over at Sports Memo, so check out his play as well in the NHL. A's Angels. We started off with 2 games that were close to pick 'em. Now a little bit different here. I'll throw it to you here first in this one, Dave.
Yeah, and Mark, who keeps on asking, Dave's pick isn't discounted today. No, it's not. Okay, I mean, I haven't had a 5% play since like February. So, no, it's not discounted. You got to pay the $40. Unless you're on for an all-access package in which you get everything I've got. That's why we keep on saying, I'm not really looking for individual game sales. Those aren't the customers I want, because they just fire away on one game and you're a genius if you win and an idiot if you lose. I'd rather have guys who are out there consistently, and if you took advantage of the special we had, which was $69 for an entire week, you get that play and everything else. Buy a package. It's a lot cheaper per selection, and then you get everything, and you don't have to worry about discounts. But no, there's no discount on this 5% play. All right, so let's talk about the A's and Angels. Look at that line. Look what's happened here. There is a load of money on the Angels today. This line is shot way up. And I think there's some justification for that. First off, we'll talk about Dylan Bundy, who clearly is loving life away from Baltimore. He has been brilliant so far for the Angels. 2 walks and 25 strikeouts out of the gate in 3 starts. He looks like he's confident. And I think the fact that I know the Angels are 6-11 or something like that right now, but the fact is, I think that he and everybody in the Angels feels like they've got a chance to be a good baseball team. So a check mark next to Bundy. A not so check mark, or maybe in the wrong direction for Fiers. I'm not one who puts a great deal of stock into pitcher versus hitter performance. Brian and myself are on the same side in this. It's mostly a meaningless stat. But in this case, Mike Trout's really hot right now, and Mike Trout owns He absolutely owns Mike Fiers. I also like the fact the Angels are coming out of a really clearly their best game of the season. They're down 9-4. Looks like another bad loss, and they come back and win it. I think that's a bit of a momentum boost for a team that needed it. They got Rendon snapped out of his slump last night at a home run. The rookie got his first, I just blanked on his name. He got his first 2-hit game. Ohtani knocked one out of sight last night. This is a really positive result. And for Oakland, maybe they're due for a little cool down coming off a 9-game winning streak and blowing a 5-run lead. So I agree with the line move here. I think it's gotten to a point where if you're going to play this, you play it the way I'm playing it. And this is my free play today, but you can read more about it at wagertalk.com. But I did post this as a free play. I took the Angels' first 5 minus a half run, minus 120, which is a lot more reasonable price. I think their advantage is in the first 5 innings coming out of last night's game with a better starting pitcher. And it means I don't have to sweat that awful Anaheim bullpen or LA Angels bullpen, which actually got the job done last night. But now a couple of those guys probably won't be available tonight, which means you might see Hansel or Gretel Robles. Neither one of them was any good. I don't want the Angels bullpen, so I'm going first 5 here with the Halos, minus a half run.
Brian, we look at this one here. Like Dave said, the A's, had a great run. They were looking solid, very, very solid, and they were a bet-on team. Now we see some movement, and not just a little bit of movement, quite a bit of movement here. So first question to you is it too late if you want this Angels team? And number 2, are you interested in backing a total in this game?
Oakland had that big winning streak, and then they lose. And a lot of times people will just assume they're going to go back on another winning streak. From what I've done in the past, I would prefer to fade the team who lost for the first time in a while. But I can't lay 158 with Dylan Mundy on the. He's one of those guys, and we're going to run into this with Colorado also, where you've got a guy who has plenty of talent. Bundy, we all know about his history, but he gets bombed. He's one of those guys that doesn't consistently – he's not consistently good or bad. He's consistently bad or really good. And I don't want any part of that when you're playing a baseball game, because if you've got – the Angels got a great lineup here. You take a look at the lineup for Oakland. Oakland's got a 974 WRC plus. The Angels 1086. And when I talk about RC plus, I'm talking the last 3 years average. I'm not going to talk about what's going on this year in a 20-game, 10-game sample size. So the bats are there for the Angels. The Angels got great bats. I don't know if I trust Bundy, at least not in this price. The A's are clearly the better team here. And when you're getting the better team at this plus kind of money at this point, that's the way it'd have to look. But, good luck with Dave if he's got the Angels there. Bundy, I'm not a believer yet. Give me 3 more starts, and if he does the same thing, I'll be late to the party, but at least I won't be losing with Bundy.
Yeah, and the thing I pointed out is I only want it for the first 5. I don't care what happens after that. The Angels bullpen can collapse late, and in fact, it wouldn't surprise me if they do. But I'm going to go with the momentum deal and try and get a win. And I don't like Fiers anyway. Fiers is to me just he's a guy. He's a number 4 starter who can go out there and give you 6 innings and keep you in the game, but he's rarely going to dominate the opponent. He's had a lot of problems with this lineup.
Jared here asking, I see your 5% play is $2. Is that right? Yes. For anybody new watching these videos for the first time or new to Wager Talk or Sports Memo, every Tuesday, one handicapper from each site is selected, and the play is just $2. If it is 5%, you are credited in wager bucks directly back into your account to spend that on another play or from another handicapper, so on and so forth. However, it's important to mention my play is for tomorrow's slate, not for today's NHL. Teddy, I had a chance to check out when I was pretty much doing nothing or trying to find things to do during the lockdown, pretty much during the pandemic when we were all isolating and staying in. And you did a video with Minty Bets, and you were talking about knowing the math with baseball betting, and you gave some tips and selections. I watched that video. I enjoyed it, learned quite a bit. Talk about this as an example, if you could, for me, please, about knowing the math, because I think this is a good example of looking at it here with an A's team so hot, looking great. This number gets jumped up really high. Is your, are you going to put your money on this game?
I don't have a bet on the game, but if I did have a bet on the game, it could only be the Oakland side. I can give you 10 reasons to bet against LA today. Maybe I will. Let's see if I can get to 10. So, and I look, Dave Copen's analysis is second to none. I respect every word out of his mouth. I disagree strongly with his assessment about fires against the Angels lineup. He's played LA. He started against LA 5 times over the last 2 years. The A's are 5-0 in those games. Fires since last June, since the beginning of last June, he has made 23 starts. The A's are 19-4 in those 23 starts. In those 23 starts, twice he's been bombed. He had one game against the Astros. He couldn't get out of the second inning. He had a game against the Astros that he also got hit hard. Those are the only 2 games in that 23-game span dating back to the beginning of last June that Fires has allowed more than 4 runs in any start. So what he's done, he's eaten up innings. He's kept the A's in games. And with Oakland's advantage in the lineup and the bullpen categories, he's getting them in position to win games. And that's why Fires has been one of the most profitable pitchers to back in recent seasons, because his advanced metrics don't mesh with what's actually happening on the field.
So is it lucky? So are you saying he's been lucky or good?
When it's short term, you say, all right, it's lucky. When a guy's doing it for years. My favorite example of this was always Chris Young. Chris Young, the former, he bounced around the league, he pitched for the Royals. And every year his xFIP was his FIP and his xFIP were 2 runs higher than his ERA. And you say, well, the first year, all right, that's in the second year. And after 8 years in, the markets are still betting against the guy. And you read every quote from the pitchers. Hey, he's 6'10", he gives up fly balls, but it's hard to get full to hit the fly balls properly. Here's a fly ball guy. Where do you want a fly ball guy? You want him in LA where the ball doesn't carry. The markets don't like the fly ball pitchers. There are times where you find a fly ball pitcher that can consistently overachieve the market pricing of that pitcher, and Fires has proven to me to be one of those guys. Then we look at the other side on Bundy. Yeah, ace level stuff. He's also coming off 107 pitches. He's not going 100. And I know they're starting to get, the arms are getting warmed up and all that. I'm looking to go against a guy that threw a complete game, a brilliant effort in his last outing. I'm not looking to back that guy a second time. And given the Angels bullpen behind him, which we know stinks, and given the market reaction to what we've seen in this game, which is, oh, wise guys love LA. I mean, to me, it's an Oaklander pass, and it's a clear Oaklander. So
I'll give you. I'm going to take one more argument.
Shoot at me. Yeah.
Argument anti-Mike Fires. His velocity is down. He's never been a hard thrower, but now he's throwing like 87, 88. And we're now starting. I don't think he trusts his fastball anymore, because now he's starting to throw a splitter, which he's never thrown in his entire career. So that tells me that there's something up here. And the Angels hit him hard already once this season. So we'll see what happens tonight. I think I do not recommend the Angels at 158, and that's why I decided to. I'll take my chances early. Half run, minus a half run. It's a lot cheaper. And look, if it's a close game in the middle innings, that might be time to jump in and take the A's live. But I don't like Fires. I don't like Fires, and I think he's a guy that I might be able to make some money fading as the season goes on. I think I think age is starting to creep in here.
Sure, Fires the guy who I made money with last year, and I made money already with this year. So it's just a matter of your experience with the pitcher. I just got a guy that's 19-4 the A's or 19. Oh yeah, 23 starts. He's making me money, so I'm a Fires fan.
There's nothing wrong with the back and forth, especially when you're getting analysis and info, just like these two guys are giving you right here on First Pitch, Wager Talk TV. Brian Leonard, you've been patiently waiting. We'll get one more thought from you here on this game here.
Yeah, Fires his last 5 starts, last few years against the Angels. He's got a 50-game score, which is completely average. But Teddy made a good point regarding fly ball pitchers. And who was the pitcher for Kansas City all those years? Tall. What's that? Chris Young.
It was Chris Young. The guy who did.
The other pitch from years.
The king of the fly ball.
Yeah. When you get pitchers like that, it's amazing. Like he pitched to Kansas City. Kansas City don't hit too many home runs. When you got a pitcher like that, when he pitched to Kansas City, out on the West Coast, the Dodgers, the Angels, Oakland, San Diego, you get the ballparks that it doesn't hurt fly ball pitchers. There's many times. I mean, there's a lot of guys. Batista, who used to pitch for Toronto, one of those guys that his numbers were never very good, but he always did well in these games. And you find that a lot, especially nowadays. Well, all people care about is strikeouts. There's guys out there that just don't strike many guys out, and they're good pitchers. We see it all the time. There's value in those kind of pitchers. Bartolo Colon, I made probably more money off of Bartolo Colon in the last 10 years than any other pitcher in baseball because he knew how to pitch in those situations. So we've all got our numbers. We've all got everything that we've done, but you have to realize where they're playing and what kind of pitcher they are.
And just real, I just want to make one last point on this. But that's my entire, like what Brian just expressed right there. That's my entire MLB betting philosophy. Is these are the numbers. The wise guys and the betting markets are going to adjust to these advanced metric numbers. And when you see situations where the advanced metric numbers may not be telling the full story, where the numbers are lying, that's where you make money. With the Bartolo Colons of the world,
So those are our 3 games we're really, really diving into. It's a great discussion today on those 3 games. I love it. And, we're going to move on to our next segment here, the MLB Rundown Quick Hits, where each handicapper will quickly – I don't know if we could do that.
No, I'm laughing at the comment. Too long in this game. Let's go.
We're going to try our best to keep it quick. So, guys, I'm just going to go one game each. And if you would like to really jump in with a quick point, feel free to do so. However, I'm going to take 1 minute to just discuss one thing, and it's going to be home field advantage. Because I think in every sport right now, we're curious, I guess not NBA, but we're curious about how that was going to work. And obviously the odds makers, what they were going to do with it. But the MLB actually has home field. No fans are there, but there is home field. Now the Blue Jays are playing at quote for quote home today, but that is not really home. However, to me, home is where you can unpack a suitcase for longer than just a few days. So I look at this game here. I look at the tough schedule that this Toronto Blue Jays team had. Look at some of the teams they played early on. A decent start, then they fell off, coming off a rough series here. Ryu coming off, a win and his most, solid start of the season. They paid him a boatload of money. I like this Toronto Blue Jays team tonight. Although I'm a fan, they're not often getting my money, and this is a spot here where I do like them to get the job done. And obviously the price is there for a reason, the way it is. I like the -1.5 here with the Blue Jays. I think you can look at the Miami Marlins. I've touched on them over the past couple of days. A casual bettor, I'd say, would look at them and say, yep, Marlins are rolling right now, not going to go against them. I say the word overachieving. I'll go to you, Brian. Do you disagree with me?
No, but I don't want to touch it. Being from Cleveland, it's hard to disparage any city. They even went to Baltimore to try to keep from playing in Buffalo. I know it wasn't just the city. They had to do some changes to the ballpark, but they've played in that ballpark probably just as much as Miami has. And so there's no advantage here. And in fact, as we talked about last time I was on, there's really no home field advantage anywhere in baseball. You get the last at bat. That's your advantage. The home teams have done nothing this year. I think road teams going into yesterday had won more games than home teams. There's no home field advantage. I like the Toronto team, but I also like the Miami team. And coming into the season, nobody wanted any part of Miami. They all wanted Toronto. Toronto and the White Sox was the 2 teams that everybody was jumping on. And now they're complaining when they're not winning their money, when you've got teams that have good young players, but they haven't got to that level. I know Teddy in basketball, we see this all the time. A team one season will get up and they'll win 41 games after winning 20. And the next year, everybody thinks they're going to win 50. They usually drop back. Like the Toronto team, not against this Miami team. And I'm looking to play Miami as opposed to fade them.
Teddy, yesterday in our comment section on our first pitch video, we had someone really wanting us to take a look at this KC Cincy game, mostly because of the price that Castillo was going to be laying here, and he was wondering if this is actually a dog spot here in favor of the Royals. What do you think here in this one?
For me, it is. It could only be a dog spot. I mean, Brian was talking about the hype teams, and I would go with Cincinnati and the White Sox before the season, more than Cincinnati and Toronto. But the Reds were certainly a hype team. Castillo's certainly a hype pitcher. Look at the guy. He's already had 26 strikeouts in his 3 starts. Of course, the Reds are 0-3 in those starts, and they've lost those games by a combined margin of 26-6. And this Kansas City Royals team that everyone had locked into last place is on a 4-game winning streak and has just swept the Twins. And they're getting a big dog price today. KC or nothing for this better, very clearly.
Dave, Atlanta taking on New York, the Yankees, and we have the total at 9.5. Yankees minus 130 favorites here, side or total. Any play for you in this one?
No, I'll bet it's been bet down from 10 to 9.5, and I can see that. Toussaint has really looked good. He looks like he's kind of figured something out for Atlanta. I mean, he's been sharp out of the gate. Montgomery's a guy I like for the Yankees. The Braves' numbers against lefties are kind of unattractive so far. 182 batting average. That's not very good. And I think you could get a bit of a pitcher's duel at Yankee Stadium in this one. But I'm just not playing unders with this Yankees offense. It's just like I'll find something else.
Well, you know what? There's a lot of options every single day on this MLB board. A packed slate once again today. Another game that was actually surprisingly popular in our comment section yesterday, Brian, was the Phillies and the Orioles, Wheeler and Cobb. Any take for you in this game?
Yeah, I'm not a big favorite fan. I would disagree with Teddy. I would take Cincinnati. I'd also take Philadelphia here. Not saying I am, but those are 2 numbers that, to me, are a little bit cheap. First off, I'll touch with Kansas City, Cincinnati. The offense, KC 850, Cincinnati 1105. Cincinnati, huge advantage in the pitching department. Baltimore, Philadelphia. Baltimore, 675 is the WRC plus here. Philadelphia, 994. I've got the Philly starter 4 levels, 4 tiers higher than Baltimore's. But once again, I've got Cincinnati and Philadelphia, 2 teams I don't trust. The numbers say to back the favorites. I'm not going to, but that's the way I would look at these games.
Teddy, 30 to 45 seconds here. Scherzer, Porcello, Nats, Mets.
So, I mean, Scherzer, his first start back off the hamstring injury. Dave Martinez, quote, he said he could pitch 2 days ago. I said, your day's coming up, so be ready. He's ready to go. I'm not assuming that Scherzer, there's going to be a problem for him. From all indications, he will be at or close to 100%. And if Scherzer's at or close to 100%, it's watching her pass, especially because that offense, that offense has been dormant. The lineup has not gotten going, and it got going in a big way yesterday. And when Soto starts hitting, the Nats become a bet-on team, and Soto's hitting right now. So, I mean, it's a bit of a price delay. It's not a game that actually put any real money on, but if I had to play it, I'm not looking for opportunities to bet the Mets right now. It's watching her pass.
Teddy covers on a 9-2 all sports run over the last 5 days, and Teddy also has an NBA game, NBA play tipping off this evening, or was it this afternoon? It's already tipped. Yeah. Well, best of luck to you, Teddy. Over to you here. Are you? Dave, I'll go to you with Tampa taking on Boston. You mentioned it yesterday. I believe you were one of the ones selecting it and going over it during the quick hit segment. It was a 1-run game. Do you think anything changes here in this second one?
I'm not betting them, though, because I'm not betting them because I'm either looking for spots to go against the Red Sox or I will leave the game alone. I don't think the Red Sox give a shit. And, last night
I think they give a shit enough to hit some overs for us, though.
I'll go out and swing the bat and have some fun, but and I'm also not betting on Martin Perez ever, okay, basically ever. So I'll skip the game. Flip a coin, I would take the Red Sox.
Twins, Brewers, Brian Leonard.
Just want to touch on the Tampa Bay line. Kittredge was supposed to start today. He ended up closing last night. So pay attention to that. I haven't seen who they decided to go with.
They still got Kittredge listed.
he's still
I don't know. I don't know why.
He's not.
He's not going to pitch.
Start the next day. What game are we looking at?
Twins,
Minnesota, Milwaukee.
Minnesota, Milwaukee. I think Minnesota's got the offensive edge. Milwaukee's slight pitching edge. I made the line basically what it is, so I'm going to pass on that one.
Just a quick thing, and I had the Twins last night. I'm happy to get the win. But their offense is in a slump right now. They basically got one hit that mattered last night, a grand slam by Rosario, and thank goodness they had it, because other than that, they never scored another run. So Minnesota's in a bit of an offensive funk right now. I don't think I want to bet them here. Lindblom looks pretty good, and this is a full bullpen game for the Twins, and they used their four main guys an inning each last night. So situationally, this actually favors Milwaukee a little bit. I didn't bet it, though, but I would lean that way.
Teddy, we're seeing an 11 as the total here. Arizona taking on Colorado. Gallen, Freeland. Any take for you on this total?
So my initial lean was towards the over, and I talked myself out of it completely. But Brian, was there something you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Minnesota having so many power hitters. When you go into slumps, you're going to have games where 13. The next day they score 0. They've got a couple guys that could set the lineup and move the players around, but for the most part, that's an American League, traditional American League lineup, and so you're going to find those days. So you got to deal with it when it does happen.
So, excellent analysis, Brian. When it comes to the Rockies and the D-backs for today, my initial lean was absolutely towards the over at Coors Field. When the ball starts flying, like it was last night, that can last throughout the entirety of the homestand when the weather's right. So, at parks like Coors, like Great American in Cincinnati, I like to watch the first game of a homestand and see what's going on. And certainly last night, there was but the lineups were in good form and the ball was carrying. But, Freeland's pitched well enough, and all the quotes and all the comments from Freeland, from the people around him, have been really positive. And you look at Gallen's track record against this Rockies lineup that has, certainly plenty of potency. He shut him down twice, or he pitched well against them twice last year. So the more I thought about it, the less I was excited about the over, especially with 11 as the prevailing total. So the lean was there, but I did not pull the trigger.
Brian, I want to go to you with this next one, because you are coming off cash in that underdog spot with the Mariners, and it wasn't just a squeaker of a win; it was a domination. That's what you love about underdogs. I mean, it wasn't just like a 1-run win. You called that one right. Great call from you. Are you willing to go back to the well with this one?
Yeah, I couldn't understand the line move yesterday on Texas. Texas and Seattle are basically the same teams right now, except for you have veterans on Texas and you've got rookies on Seattle. Anytime you've got rookies that nobody knows about, there's going to be value there. You see that with Miami. They just brought up one of their best, if not their best offensive guy from the minors. They got a bat ninth, which tells you how good the Miami lineup is now compared to years past. But yeah, before the season started, I found a really good number on Texas to win the World Series. That was back when they had a healthy starting pitching staff. And I said, well, what the hell? I said, 100 to 1. I'll put $50 on that or whatever. And then they've lost Kluber and they've lost some others, and this isn't the same team as it was originally. But, Seattle's lineup tonight is very weak. 768 on the WRC plus. Texas isn't a whole lot better at 855. And then to touch with Teddy's Colorado, they've got a weak lineup today, 836. Colorado's really good against lefties. Against righties, they're not nearly as strong offensively. I don't want to fade Colorado at home against the lefty. Let's just put it that way. But the line makes a little bit more sense today on Texas. I'm going to pass. I do have some other games. Underdogs I like better than this one.
Just note, by the way, they opened the roof for the first time last night at Texas, and the ball started to carry. So find out whether the roof's open or not, because it's going to make a difference in this ballpark.
Dave, I know of you as being a lot more of a lower volume handicapper. Question here from Robbie, new to watching this show. I believe he's wondering quality over quantity.
Depends on how
preference based and also bankroll based. What would you think here?
No, I don't agree. It depends on how you're handicapping. If you're using a model, for instance, if you're using math models, you're going to come up with a lot more plays, and you have to trust the models and play all those games. If you're more situational or more analytical, then you might want to play less games. I am a low volume player because I don't really use a model. I make a price on each game, but it's not model based. But model based handicappers will have on a frequent basis 7 or 8 plays on a full baseball schedule, and you got to play them all. That's the way you play them. So I can't answer that because I don't know how you're handicapping.
Well, I'll give you another question to answer. San Fran, Houston. I guess that wasn't really a question. What do you think about this game?
Nothing. Looks like it's priced right. Next.
Okay. Well, next game I'll go with you again, I guess, for an opinion. Last one here, San Diego Padres taking on the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's a pretty good game. Richards and Stripling, I think the price is a little bit on the low side. It's not low enough for me to play the Dodgers, but I think actually the value side might be the Dodgers here, particularly coming out of a game where they got stymied yesterday. But the Dodgers offense just isn't it's just not clicking a whole lot right now. I'm kind of waiting for a breakout before I can confidently back them, laying even $1.50 or $1.60.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I just want to touch on the other caller who was asking to play a lot of games or play few. If you do normally play a few games, you're very conservative with it. When you get hot, don't go playing a whole lot more games than what you normally play. That's a beginner's problem they have all the time. If you're playing 1 to 2 games a day and you're winning, don't all of a sudden think you're hot and then you can play 6 or 7 games. You're adding 5, 6 games onto your card that didn't meet your qualifications from before. Just because you're hot yesterday does not mean you're hot today, does not mean you're hot tomorrow. Every day is different. You said yourself you were steaming hot, and all of a sudden you'd lost a couple of games yesterday. It's a long run, and you've got to know your limitations.
Yeah, I've been doing this a lot, a lot shorter of a time than these guys. These three have been doing, and a great analysis from all three, Teddy, Brian, and Dave today. But one thing I'll say, and just to kind of put that in even shorter terms, don't give your money back that you won. You worked so hard for it. You've worked so, you've researched, you place your low volume wagers, or let's say you do 4 bets a day or 3 or 5. Don't get on a hot run and start betting 12 just because you're feeling good about yourself. That's how you're going to end up giving that back. I want to feel like it's us against the books, not like you're trying to give that money back. So don't make it easier for them.
It is us against the books. This isn't pari-mutuel. I point this out all the time. In horse racing, you're betting against other bettors because it's pari-mutuel. You're betting against the number here. You get it, and then that's why it doesn't matter when you're not betting against anybody else. You're betting against the house,
against the market.
Definitely. All right, guys. It's been a great show. It's been very, 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 I guess would say information packed, but we do have to keep this going here, and we'll get to our last segment. And I know Teddy does have the NBA show coming up directly following this. DFS stud and sleeper. If we could please keep this a little bit short, let us know who you guys like here, and your stud and sleeper. I'll go to you first, Teddy.
So the last time I was on this show, I actually said live to an audience, maybe you want Anibal Sanchez, which might have been the single dumb, I think it was 9-0. There's dumb things, and then there's really dumb things. That might have been the single dumbest prediction I've ever had. I'll leave it for Brian and Dave today.
I'll take a shot with the the Miami pitcher, rather. I think the pitching might have an edge. Ball players aren't familiar with this ballpark in Buffalo, so I'll take Hernandez, who I think is pretty good, and he's not going to cost you anything.
Do you have a feel for how because I didn't know how the field in Buffalo plays.
I'm told that it can yield home runs.
Sure, yeah.
But I don't know. I don't.
I'm nervous about taking a DFS. I mean, I always want to watch a game, and I remember when they were playing those games down in Puerto Rico, and you're like, oh, the total's 11.5 up to 13.5. Well, it should have been 19, because the balls flew. So it's one of those deals. I'm struggling. I would struggle. It's hard to back a pitcher in an environment where you don't know what the environment is.
Yeah. Offense. Take a shot and stack Tigers. They're hitting like crazy right now. They're not going to cost you much because nobody knows who they are. And they're facing a guy who's not exactly lighting the world on fire right now, Gio Gonzalez.
Well, just to get my 2 cents in on the argument that you guys had earlier, or the discussion, I would say you can get some value on some Oakland A's batters here this evening as far as DFS goes. And the price that we're getting on the Angels seems like many people like them to win and have a pretty successful game. Brian, is there any value here for a pitcher you're looking at as far as if we were to create a daily fantasy wager talk lineup here?
Yeah, I'd go with Detroit's pitcher. I don't know how long he's going to go, but I think he's going to have success against this.
But the problem there is you can't get a win in all likelihood because he won't pitch the required 5, and I think that matters in DFS, right?
It does.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were going to have this segment, but I agree with Dave. Take a look at Detroit's top 4 hitters. I talked about this earlier. Goodrum against lefties, 124, 117 for Scope, 147 for Cabrera, 145. Well, it was 145. Cron got hurt, so he's going to be out of the lineup. But the top 3 guys in the lineup are guys that are really good against lefties.
This just in, by the way. I just flashed. I love this stuff. Big Ten presidents have voted to say no to college football this fall. It just came through.
Don't even get me started.
Nebraska in the Big Ten.
I don't know if can they legally play anyplace else. I don't. What a mess.
Once again, it is $2 Tuesday at both Sports Memo and WagerTalk.com. This is First Pitch. We will see these guys again this week. A 7-day-a-week show here, right here on Wager Talk TV, 2 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock Eastern, Saturday and Sunday. For Teddy, for Dave, for Brian, I really enjoyed this show. I hope you guys learned something at home watching this show. Have a great night. Good luck with your wagers, and we will see you tomorrow right here on Wager Talk TV.